Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body-connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. There is a certain level of empathy both of you had to develop to make it. It wasn't just grit, really,
No.
honestly. It was empathy for understanding what that was like.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to ask you a follow-up question to all of this lengthy stuff.
Mhm.
The people that you help now, right? How do they present? And I want the range of, because people ask me, well, who do you help? And I'm like, well, I help a lot of different people. I have a customer who's a scientist, and I have another customer who's full-time mom. Like, so tell me, who are you helping right now that just lights you up?
That lights us up. Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just came from one of our local schools that, the bottom 25% get sent to. If you know what I mean, these are the outcasts, these are the kids that misbehave and all that. So the school system puts them there because they're unruly. And I just came from there. And I will tell you, um, not all of them listen, but the ones that are like when we're talking, because I ask them the question, like, what do you want to talk about? And they all clam up, like, well, what? It's like, what do you want to talk about? And they're like, they don't know what to do. And these are young men between, middle school, high school kids that I'm working with at this particular location. And it's so interesting to me to know that us as adults never take the time to ask this kid, what do you want to talk about? And it's so foreign to them. But once you get them to talk, right? There's this kid, and he made the comment, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 25, right? Now, the first reaction as an adult is, well, that's ridiculous, right? And my question to him, okay, what's your plan? How are you going to get there? And we just started talking, and he started talking about trading. He started talking about these things, and I'm pushing back. He said, do you know what a moving average is? Do you know your candlesticks? And he's like, I don't know. And so that part of allowing someone to talk and make them feel safe about just talking without judgment, without telling them their ideas or whatever, that lights me up. That's something that I live for. That I live for that aha moment when you see a person that hasn't been heard just go like, what? Like they're not trusting you, but they don't know how to hold the paradox of a person actually caring about what they have to say. That lights me up.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And you stole all my story. No, I'm kidding. I would say that it's pretty similar though. In our partnership as, business partners and life partners too, I think I will say that I'm really good at having personal or personable relationships. I can connect pretty easily with people, and I think people do find that I'm a safe space. I There's something about me from what I've been told by Omar, by some of our clients and the people that I work with, that there's just something about me that makes them feel like they can open themselves up to us or me. And I thrive in that because it's in those little conversations that you really discover people and who they really are and what they represent and what they like and what they don't like. And there's so much about all of us, and we do our own podcast, and all the people that we've met, we've just been like, we're so much more alike
Yeah.
than we are apart. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, that there's this garden of flowers and there's different lilacs, lilies, roses, and we can all be together, but the world wants us to be so separate, And so I thrive And what lights me up is when I'm able to have those conversations with people and they feel safe and they feel good and they feel like they can just be themselves and that they're seen for who they really are.
Okay, so since we're going in that direction, the both of you, I'm
Mhm.
gonna start with you, Jesse, right? Because I would love your, if you would allow it, your very first inclination to answer when I say to you, well, what makes you feel safe, Jesse?
What makes me feel safe? Ooh. Um, I think what makes me feel safe is when I'm in an environment where I can also be 100% myself and be accepted for the good, the bad, the ugly. And that energy is like reciprocal. You know, you feel it. It's like we talked about frequency before we started, right? You feel it. And that makes me feel safe. And there's I feel that energy with certain people where I'm like, I don't know, I'm not feeling too good here. But there's some people that I'm just like, this is nice. I feel good. And that makes me safe.
Mm.
Are there steps that you do outside of the spotlight to help yourself feel safe?
Yes. So, and I was going to go into that, but I wasn't sure. So I,
Yeah, you do it.
so I, not too long ago, I was living in the Matrix. And in the Matrix, everything was perfect in my world, right? And I was just doing exactly what people were telling me to do. And I was very robotic and just, just meeting the expectations of everybody else but myself. And, had doors closed on me professionally and whatnot because I was in the corporate world and ended up jumping ship and going to another organization. And it was insanely toxic. And then I ended up leaving the corporate world and feeling like a deer in headlights. And at that time, I compare it to, because I say the Matrix, I compare it to when, like, if you've seen the Matrix or your audience or our audience have seen the Matrix, when Neo comes out of the Matrix and he opens up his eyes.
What do my eyes hurt?
He says that. Why do my eyes hurt? Right. And it's because it was seeing something completely different in my world. I was literally like, I was a scared little girl. And so I really had to connect to that little girl and let her know that I thank you. You have done everything you could to get me to where I'm at, but I got it here. And it makes me emotional because I think what happens to us is that we don't allow this process to take place in us for whatever reason. Everybody has a different reason, right? And for me, it was because I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be, people would respect me. People knew I had a PhD. I had this title. I was this daughter. I was this wife. And none of that matters. None of it matters. Are those things that my education is very important to me, but it's not what defines who I am. It's my experiences that define who I am. And so I really had to come to some really deep, dark places. And so what I do to create my safe space is I have my own little space in my bedroom and I sit with myself and I do a lot of journaling. I don't necessarily meditate, but I close my eyes and sit with my thoughts and let these things go through me. And I challenge myself when I'm saying things that are like really absurd, and putting expectations on myself. So I really do have a little safe space there where I can just breathe through life, and experience that for what it is. And then I feel a tremendous amount of energy and I'm like, go, okay, I'm good now. And it's obviously been refined. I used to spend a lot of time in that space. Now I spend a little less time, but I know I can go there if that makes sense.
Nice.
Thank you. Omar, your turn.
So what makes me feel safe? I'll be honest with you. The true is my alone time. That's one of the things that we talked about growing up is that I spent a lot of time alone. I had to go to sleep by myself when my mom left, and that kind of like gave me that I had to find peace within me, right? So I love spending time alone, and that time I get to think, and process. I call it composting time, because that's kind of like how it works. It's there's a thought, an idea, and I followed it and I sketch it and I do all these different things just to kind of like it feels good And then I also conceptualize the things that I would like to do, like ASQ. It was a concept, an idea, marinating for a long time. But I also do a lot of reading and a lot of listening to audiobooks. I'm right now, for instance, I'm reading Alan Watts' The Wisdom of Insecurity, which is a very powerful book. So just doing things like that, and I also have my own spiritual practice that I do on a regular basis, just to connect to the different aspects of myself, to be able to develop that, to see like what I'm here and there. But the main idea is that I need that time alone. It's just not like I want it. It's like I need it. Because if I don't use it, then I begin to not function like I want to function. So that's one of the things that is a must for me, and that makes me feel safe.
So I have a question for you because I used to be one of the people I'm going to ask this question for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much in Camp Jessie and Omar right now about the alone time.
Mm-hmm.
We have clients who are on the other side of that. They don't like to be alone. They couldn't
Mm-hmm.
fathom eating alone at a restaurant. They couldn't fathom going away
Mm-hmm.
on a trip by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first step to that alone time? Because for some of, I'll speak to the before Jenny, it frightened me. I did not want to be alone. That was a trigger of a childhood I didn't realize I had experienced because I'd
Mm-hmm.
forgotten all of it. How does one start? If this is intriguing, audience, pay attention to
Mm-hmm.
this part. They'll give you
Yep.
some golden nuggets on how to start that step.
Yep. I will tell you that when I was in one of those dips in lives, right? And I didn't spend the time together. The one thing that got me back to it, it was sit somewhere, 5 to 10 minutes. That's it. No more, no less. Just 5 to 10 minutes. Just sit there and ask a question in your mind and just see what happens. And that's for me. That's just like that simple thing, I mean, there's a tendency to constantly provide steps, right? 1, 2, 3, 5 steps for this, 5 steps for that. You have to find what works for you, but to start, just spend 5 to 10 minutes, right? And I tell this to all the people that I worked with: 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 minutes in the evening, and you begin to spend that time asking questions or just being with you, and then that time will begin to like, oh, well, take a look at this, take a look at that, and then it begins to grow from there. Again, we have the tendency on the self-help world to constantly be like, here, this is it, and then we try to systemize our internal world, right? By taking analogies from sports and all these different things. It's just a lot. It's whispers. It's just those little moments that it's okay. Like if you're 5 to 10 minutes and you feel tension, just say, "Oh, I feel a little tension right now." Okay. Well, but it will go away. 5 to 10 minutes, morning, evening. That's it, and then allow it to guide you to see where he goes from there. What works for me won't work for everybody else. That's why, it doesn't. It's like we encourage people to find their thing, right? Um, because again, I could be reading it. I could read all morning. She doesn't want to do that, you know. It's not her thing. It's like, and you have to be okay with that, without having comparisons to others. If it's 5, 10 minutes, great. If it's an hour, awesome. Whatever works for you, but 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. I think that's pretty similar for me. I know I was one of those people like the other Jesse was like, I got to be with people. I have to be next to Omar all the time. I have to be, around people. I can't go to a restaurant by myself, but I will tell you that, um, definitely over the last year, that's really shifted for me. In fact, I like spending time alone. It's really nice. And even another thing that makes me feel really safe is just being with Omar in our, apartment, right? In our condo. We can be in the same vicinity and not say two words to each other for like 2 hours. And then out of nowhere, it's like, hey, whatever, whatever. And, oh yeah, sure. Okay. There's something magical about that because there's no expectations and there's a safe zone there, right? But if I was talking to people, I do a group coaching. In fact, I have a group tonight, and in that one of the things that these people find hard, first of all, I'm teaching them things that our methodologies and the way that to approach life, right? To live from that internal like alignment. But one of the things that I believe in firmly is micro practices. I always tell people, how many of you have gone to a leadership training or a workshop or something, and they give you all this, like he said, this 10 steps, and then you walk away and it just dissipates and it's gone, right? So micro practices help you embody what it is that you're learning, right? So when you're doing these things, what I recommend to people is we'll have this learning, and then I give them a micro practice and I say, tell me what's the one action that you're going to take to implement this, right? And they do it. And now all of a sudden they're consistently doing it, right? And they're finding a freedom there, and they're finding a space where they can just be themselves, and they are loving it. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. I started, I'm an entrepreneur. I work from home. In the morning, at first I felt guilty about it, but I would go and sit on my porch and I'd be like, I'm by myself. This is kind of weird. What do I do with myself? Oh, hey, little lizard, whatever, just kind of whatever, weird. But I would force myself to go through that, right? Because it's weird. Because I'm like, my brain is like functioning, and I'm trying to quiet this, but it's important to listen to what's coming up, right? What's bubbling up, what's surfacing, and have a conversation with yourself, and explore these things. And now, if I don't go out there, well, we're in Florida, so it's a little hot. I don't always go out there, but when I do, I bring my wine. I'm just kidding. I was trying to be like that commercial.
Dos Equis.
Dos Equis. But now in the morning, in the afternoon, I go out and sit on my patio, and I am completely by myself. And that for me was big. Now it's easy for me to go have a coffee and take my computer and do some work, and no big deal,
Yeah. And here's the thing, if you don't mind me say this real quick, right? It's because she just said it, guilt, right? Our culture, particularly our Western culture, is so keen on productivity that guilt comes just for taking a break.
Yeah.
Just for being okay. And that's what you have to understand, that is an ACE response. It is a response from trauma, and from a cultural trauma that we're constantly have to be on, right? But that's impossible. It's impossible. So the first thing, when you take that time and guilt comes up, like, acknowledge that this is where it comes from. It comes from a cultural point of view that you always have to be on, and that's not okay. It's not healthy. The doctors tell us you got to take 8 hours a day. You got to walk. You got to do all this. So to that premise that is being ingrained in our Western mind, we have to acknowledge it, but then we also have to discard it. Because that is it. And again, because we're blame ourselves constantly for things that don't belong to us. And we have to begin to like understand that and accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I love this because we're going in deep, and I want to clarify something because I could already like because in quantum timelines, every part of us exists at the same time, right? So like old Jenny's is going, okay, so is that with or without a phone? Because I've been like, I can take my alone time for an hour, but I'm watching a C drama, and that's not alone time. So let's just clarify this, audience. Don't wiggle out of this. We're asking you, even if it's a minute at a time, where you're not on your phone. When you are doing the Jessie, and you're not helping the lizard that you see, you're just watching the lizard, because I'd be helping it. Like, do you need help, little lizard? So let's clarify where you're just observing. And that's when you might get downloads, or maybe nothing, right? And for me, sitting still was never part of the to-do list. It was always something else where I wasn't in my body. Right. And I love this reminder from the two of you, because safety actually does come from ourselves, but if we're not still enough, we could never feel the safety. And I just love what you both shared. All right, so I have part 2 of this question, though. When you sit still, what's the next step after? I mean, I know for me, I would say, okay, celebrate it, because I don't celebrate anything. So I would celebrate, oh, Jenny, you sat still for a minute. Woo, like, that's great. I would probably over celebrate it and then distract myself from the next minute. However, for our listeners, what's the step after the sitting with yourself? What's that? Because most of the time we'll stop like, yay, I did it. And then we forget. There's another minor pivot after.
For me, what I did was when I first started doing this, and I had that the guilt attached to it, I would sit with myself. A lot of times I would journal and write things down too, because things were coming up for me. Um, but what I did immediately after that was I would go and either maybe take a shower, but I would look at myself in the mirror, you know, no matter what, go to my bathroom. If I was going to take a shower, do it after or before, but always look at myself in the mirror, which I never used to do. And I would say, go, you did good. You did good. And, and walk away from that moment, just feeling really good about myself because I deserved that time. And so I think it's really, it sounds silly, right? You say that, but and it sounds silly to some people. Like, really, you look in the mirror and say, "You go, girl, you did it." Yeah, I do that. I did that this morning. I had a meeting, and he ended up leaving, and I went into the bathroom to put on some makeup to look decent, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, "You did it. Like, that was a good meeting. This was a great connection. You go. You did this." I felt good about it. And yes, it was a meeting. I was being productive, but we don't acknowledge ourselves for the wins in our life, even if it's just to pause, just to observe ourselves and be in the moment and be present. And that's all that matters, is what's happening right this minute. Being here on this podcast with Jenny, that's all that matters right this minute. And I love that for us and for you, you know. But we don't do that enough. We don't celebrate our small wins.
Um, for me, it's an interesting question because I do some studies, and one of the things that they teach is what is called the star meditation. And the star meditation is you sit down, but you ask a question, right? And for me, the most important question that I had to answer was, what do I want? Like, what do I want? So when you calm down, when you sit there and okay, I'm here, it's sitting down and having, because again, the soul, right? All these different parts of of ourselves, our mind is powerful, but it could run in its own different direction, right? So in order to do that, when you're sitting down, and most people can't meditate because of the thoughts, and you tell you got to quiet your mind, quiet your mind. That's a very Eastern way of looking at it, but we live in the West, so we're wired a little differently, right? So in order for us to manage our desires, our emotions, we need to use our mind. So when you sit there, you ask a question. And for me, that first question is, what do I want? And after that, you wait for what the downloads are, what comes, right? And to me, it was at first you start getting, I want more money, I want more money. But no, if you listen long enough, you start realizing it's not more money that I want more freedom, right? It is not more power that I have. I want to create more, right? It is not that I want to not feel pain, is that I want to feel joy, right? So when you sit there and you ask one question, just one, just a single point of view, what do I want? And then you start waiting to see what comes, see what happens. And it could be something simple, is to get some more clarity about what the situation is. But if you use that and you use that consistently, you could start seeing the downloads, right, coming in. And then you start seeing, okay, where does this come from? Does it come from me? Does it come from somebody else? But if you allow that time, it's about, you grow, and then you start shedding, where these answers are coming from. Like, where did this come from? Like, like, I need to have all this money. Why? Like, okay, yes, it's important. I'm not discarding that, but is it the money because you want to be secure, or is it money because you want status? What is it that you truly want? And then whatever answer is your answer, it's your answer. But it is an opportunity to really, really dig deep from the inside out as to what it's truly what you want. So it's called the star meditation.
You two are so amazing. Just I have to. I got to download while you were both saying that. I really need you both to understand how beloved you are.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You two are very loved by the universe. I mean, the level of guidance you're providing right now is really essential because we have a lot of lost souls.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?